BooBaes. BooBaes. Hi.
Hello and welcome
To
BooBaes.
BooBaes.
We are your hosts. I'm Caitlin,
And I'm Joshua.
and we are here to talk about some pretty kind of creepy, more so than anything, eerie and unsettling possible events.
Yeah, it's pretty I'm having trouble with my timer here. Do you want to set that for me? I think I
you did a
messed
great
it up.
job.
Check it out.
No.
Are you
it's
sure?
going backwards.
I don't think it was. I knew it looked wrong.
Don't know what's going on.
Restart. Yeah, eerie,
Great.
spooky, really elevated horror, something that makes you think a lot, something that on the way here I was like even having more epiphanies about. If you haven't already read from the title, we're going to be covering Jordan Peele's
Us.
2019. 2019.
Directed, written by Jordan Peele.
And
Produced by Jason Blum of Blumhouse.
Of Blumhouse, yeah.
But Blumhouse couldn't acquire enough money to actually produce it. So whatever the big producer company was actually just paid Jason like without actually hiring Blumhouse.
Really?
Yes.
Like
according to according to the trivia on IMDb.
We live for the trivia.
If it would actually fucking load. Beep bop boop 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 boop. Jason Blum, who had produced Jordan Peele's previous movie Get Out 2017, was asked to produce this one as well. As his low-budget production company, Blumhouse could not come up with the necessary budget. Universal Pictures hired him as a producer outside of his company and on a one-time basis.
Oh, interesting.
For this film.
Nice.
So,
okay.
Thought that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. So it's basically was in order just to keep him like in control? Like creative control, maybe? Is that what it was?
Maybe. And maybe just Jordan really wanted him to be on it because he loved the way Get Out happened. And I'm sure he just really enjoyed working with Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And then was like, yeah, please come work on this one too. But I guess I feel like Blumhouse does a lot of movies though.
Yeah.
So
maybe they just couldn't fit it in the budget though.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Oh, well.
Because I know...
I'd never really heard of them doing stuff like that. I mean, I guess maybe it happens all the time and we just don't really pay attention. But
that could be true because I won't pretend to know all the inner workings or backings of the studio and how all that
no clue.
Goes
the
right over my head.
Closest I know to the back of the studio is the Universal Studios tour.
Lot? Yeah. I've always wanted to do that.
It was so fun.
Yeah. Like in Florida or like in California?
I did the California one.
Okay, that makes sense.
I've been to Universal in both Florida and California, but I believe I only did the California one. And so it had Psycho, it had the Bates Motel.
I remember that.
And it had the little animatronic shark from Jaws.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that was really neat. And then they were filming for the live Hairspray at the time.
Oh, okay.
So the cast, like the set of Hairspray was set up. And then there was also, it was during kind of Christmas time. So there was like the Grinch.
Yeah.
They were all there
setting up for the
and stuff. Yeah.
Holidays.
Yeah.
That's cute.
And it was really neat. And there was like a big plane crash scene from, I'm sure, one of the like Tom Cruise movies. Who knows?
He's been in a lot of movies with planes.
Yeah. So I don't really know which one it was.
I don't know.
But
I don't really watch Tom Cruise
this
movies.
is a plane crash. And I was like, cool.
And so
I don't watch Tom Cruise anything.
last Tom Cruise movie I've seen,
War of the Worlds.
Actually, and yeah, actually probably one that I like have seen like more than once everything else that he's been in, I've never seen any of the Mission Impossible movies.
neither.
I've never seen a Top Gun.
No.
I've never seen a Bottom Gun.
I've never seen a side gun.
Mm,
Never seen any guns.
nice.
No guns and no Tom Cruise.
Stay away from guns.
Cancel and Tom
Cancel all
Cruise.
guns. Oh, and Tom Cruise. They can put them both on the same sticker with a red mark through it.
Maybe he's redeemed himself. Who knows? But anyways, that is, I thought was a fun fact. There's also so many cool fan theories I was reading up about.
Oh, okay.
That I cannot wait to talk about.
To get through.
Because they're really cool.
We should just dive in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we start the movie with the little, like, black screen, and then we have the lettering come up that says that there are basically thousands of miles of tunnels, unused tunnels underneath like the American soil, right underneath their feet.
Mining shafts, abandoned subway systems, all those kinds of things. And then and yeah, they're basically not in use.
And then it cuts to a newscast where we get this kind of not advertisement, but like an announcement of this Hands Across America celebration that's going to be happening.
And it said from
a movement.
The Golden Gate Bridge to the Twin Towers, and I was
from sea to shining sea.
R.I.P. Twin Towers.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then the news channel. So the movie really plays into the 11/11 kind of symmetry, because it's like a mirrored, like kind of perfect number there, and it looks the same on either side. Not like a 2 and a 2. If you were to mirror those, it's not the same, but
11/11 is. Either way you flip it.
Yeah. And so that's neat. But the news channel that before it even went to the Hands Across America was Channel 11.
Oh, I didn't
News.
even.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then he also makes like a lot of references to the Goonies and like subtle references throughout. And next to the TV right there is a cassette of the Goonies, a VHS tape of the Goonies.
Which is one of his like inspirations. Yeah.
It was really cool. I was reading that he gave the actors a list of 11 horror films to watch, so they would have a shared language when filming.
Okay.
And I thought that was really neat.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that makes sense.
We should cover these 11 films.
Yeah.
Which we've already actually done some of them.
What were they?
So Jaws, 1975. Dead Again, 1991. The Shining, 1980. The Babadook, 2014. It Follows, 2014. A Tale of Two Sisters, 2003. The Birds, 1963. Funny Games, 1997. That's one of Mike's favorites. I know that he's told me to watch Funny Games before. Yeah.
Funny Games, gotcha.
It looks really good. I want to watch it. Martyrs, 2008. Let the Right One In, 2008. And The Sixth Sense, 1999. But I was like, we've already covered a few of those. And I feel like it would be fun if we just went on this like binge of covering.
That can be all listener requests from Jordan Peele.
From Jordan Peele.
That's what it is.
Jordan Peele is actually our biggest listener. I had a dream the other day that Haley Williams was like,
she was listening.
BooBaes, you mean with Caitlin Klein and Joshua Villalobos?
By name.
And I was like, what?
That is hilarious, dude. I would love it.
I think it's just because I've been listening to their Paramore's new album.
Yeah.
And I know I told you this already, but I thought it was such a cool line. And one of their songs, they have a line that says, it's like it seems I'm living in a horror film where I'm both the killer and the final girl. And it says, and who are you? Basically kind of like, where do you fit in? And I'm like self-sabotaging myself kind of thing. I love it.
You were both. Yeah.
Love it.
I haven't listened to the album yet.
Oh, I have listened to it.
I need to make time to do so.
I'm pretty sure Paramore will already be my
have
number
like a
one.
million streams.
Yeah.
Just
that was
from
the
you
thing
alone.
Spotify said on my Wrapped last year was like, whenever your favorite artist comes out with something, you like play it more than anyone else in the world. And I was like, yeah, I do.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do that. I do that.
Yeah.
And like when something drops, that's all I'm listening to on repeat for about at least a month.
Yep.
At least.
That's where I am right now.
At least. Yeah. But it's okay. Enjoy it.
Paramore.
That's what it's made for.
This is why phase.
You're a fan.
I am.
And you got me that shirt, so it's super cute.
That's right.
We have the newscast, telling about the Hands Across America and how it's kind of a movement. And we do have the screen flipping to black, and then we do see that there's a little girl watching as it's then also changing to an advertisement for the boardwalk. And then we're at the boardwalk.
Then we jump.
Yep.
We're there.
We jump, and we
Dad's
are
playing baseball
with Adelaide and her parents. And
what do you call her, Addie?
Addie.
Or Ada?
Addie.
Okay.
What did you call her?
Both.
Okay.
So I was just trying to see how we were going to refer to her as.
Addie.
Okay, Addie.
Only because later on, Gabe was calling her Addie for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why it stuck more. But we do have them. He's trying to win prizes for her, of course, as any father would. He ends up winning her a Thriller T-shirt, which her mom
that's what she wanted.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when her mom was like, I hope that doesn't give her nightmares and stuff.
And then she said she cried whenever the actual music video came on, which at the time,
sense.
That music video was pretty scary.
She's what, 7?
Yeah, something really
6?
young. She was tiny.
Yeah, she was little bitty. And so they're, kind of enjoying this family outing. We have mom and dad,
lots of tension between them.
Yeah, I was about to say. I don't know if definitely mom and dad, because she's like, that's your daughter. But if they're together or if not, maybe seem like there's.
I think she, probably just annoyed that maybe he's drinking.
Maybe could be
not, and he's basically. I feel like he was really only trying to fulfill his own wants. Like he wanted to play the arcade games and drink more.
Yeah.
But wasn't actually really paying attention to Addie or the mom.
His wife.
Yeah. And so then I think she was getting just kind of well, can't we do something
annoyed.
like we all want to do?
Gotcha.
Kind of thing. That's what it gave me.
And so she ends up needing to use the restroom. So she leaves Miss Addie with him as he's playing whack-a-mole. And she's telling her to stay close. But of course, like any kid does, she's going to wander off.
Yeah.
And she's drawn to walk towards and off of the boardwalk. But we do see as she's making her way, this one dude, a homeless man, I'm assuming, who's got a cardboard cutout thing that says Jeremiah 11:11.
Yes. Which
a Bible verse.
The Bible verse reads, "Therefore thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will bring evil upon them, which they shall not be able to escape. And though they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them." I guess it's like King James or some shit.
All the verbiage.
Yeah. Saith. What saith you?
Old as shit.
Oh, that shit. Also, whenever they were on the boardwalk, her mom, she says, they're shooting a movie over there by the carousel, which is a reference to the Lost Boys, the Lost Boys. Yeah.
Oh, is it? I've never seen that movie.
Me neither.
Or the Goonies or the Lost Boys. Oh, the Lost Boys. Yeah. Because
I've seen
that's
Goonies.
The one with the vampires.
I've not actually seen the Lost Boys. I just know
I think
that
they're
was
vampires.
A fun fact.
Or maybe is that the one with the boys and they're lost? I'm not sure. But yeah, because I don't know. Is that the one with Matt Dillon and the other guys? And they made it from a book?
Oh, I have no clue.
Because I've read the book. But long story short, we do have her then seeing this couple playing paper, rock, scissors. She's walking off of the boardwalk and onto the beach, which she's getting really far and really close to that water.
I know.
A little too close for me.
I was like, you could die.
Literally.
You could get
and there's a storm.
By the water.
That water is choppy.
Yeah, and there could be a water spout. A water funnel. What are those water tornadoes called?
Oh, yeah, water spout.
Water spout.
Yeah. And so she ends up getting drawn towards this shaman's house of visions or
vision quest.
Vision quest, that's right.
Find yourself.
A fun house type of mirror house, And
she drops her apple.
She does. The apple that she was holding the whole time that she did never take a bite or lick of. And so
just decoration.
Yeah, probably for aesthetics. And maybe it could also play more into the family dynamic of them giving it to her and not
or not really wanting
it. And them not really truly understanding what she actually wants.
Yeah.
But I digress. She ends up going inside the thing, and we do
that fucking owl got me.
The owl, yeah. Whenever she first gets in there and is walking through it
got me.
It's a good jump scare.
It gets me every single time.
Yeah.
Too. So the first time I watched it, I was like, fuck. And then this morning, I was like in the middle of like typing, or that was last night. Sorry. I was in the middle of typing and then I was like, the fucking owl got me again. And then it's so exciting at the end whenever she comes in and the owl comes out and she's like, God.
Yeah.
I love it.
Revenge for all of us. You got jumped.
I'm like, yeah,
it definitely got me.
Get it.
Especially the first time. And so she's in there. She gets past this little owl thing and she's the lights go out, don't they, at that point?
Yeah.
If she's not already freaked out.
And then, the lights go out and then she basically can't find the exit. And all she can really see is like thousands of exit signs lit up because it's all mirrors.
Mirror upon mirror. And she starts whistling, which I'm assuming is to like calm herself. Or, I'm assuming that's the only reason she's doing it, just to calm herself.
Yeah.
Because she's scared. And so she's trying to make her way through this mirror house. And then she ends up backing up. And
she's met with another whistle.
She's met with another. Oh, that's right. She is met with another whistle, which is very scary.
Yeah, because it was like it sounded very much like a person learning how to whistle.
Oh, that's true.
Like, I mean, except for like really good
with
at it.
With the like very, like too much teeth.
Yeah, I can't whistle. So I wouldn't know. But it sounded like there was no clear tune. It was very like, oy.
If that's, I think I know what you mean.
Whistled.
Yeah. Imagine that, listeners. And so little. But she's met with that whistle that's coming back at her, which is scary enough, and she ends up walking and coming to this other little girl that's
back in the backing up scene. So good.
Yeah, because she doesn't know that this little girl is behind her, and they're back to back at this point until she is like, that feeling when you do feel someone like in your bubble. So she turns around and she's
staring at the back of her own head.
Yeah, literally. Terrifying. And then the other little girl turns around.
And then she gives this terrifying smile.
Demented smile.
Where she's just like, oh, wait, I'm sorry. I don't think we actually see that yet.
Not just yet?
Yeah, I don't think we see her smile yet.
That's true.
I think it's in the first flashback.
That's true.
Okay, tell me, did you, the first time that you watched it, catch on that she'd switched herself? Before the end?
Not necessarily.
I didn't either. I thought she was just traumatized.
Yeah.
At first.
Same.
Yeah.
I thought she was just really,
like
exactly.
Just like terrified of what she saw.
Exactly.
I wouldn't want to speak about that either.
No, I didn't think that she had switched with her. It never really dawned on me.
That was a pretty, like a solid twist for me. I was like, oh, fuck.
Especially at the end. Yeah. Which
There's
is
also
really good.
One of the theories is that actually Jason is switched. Jason and Pluto were switched at some point because of either maybe Jason or Pluto's original Jason would have been liked fire, and then basically the mom knew that she could get another unburned child and switched them. And then that's why her and Jason at the end share a knowing glance. I don't know. So it says, by the end of the movie, there's definitely been one on-screen switch that will leave you scratching your head. But this person believes that the youngest member of the Wilson family, Jason, was swapped with his tethered counterpart, Pluto, prior to the events of the film. The Redditor is from Reddit, justifies this possibility.
Of course.
Yeah, through multiple reasons, the most important of which is the knowing glance Jason and Adelaide give to one another at the end, as if both are aware of the other's true identity. The theory is made even more plausible when looking at Jason's decision to build tunnels rather than sand castles. In the sand, whenever he's out there.
On the beach.
And he's like, it's just a tunnel. But
when would she have? And that means
whenever maybe he was younger, and
after or before the burning, like he burned himself.
Like after, but maybe like Gabe didn't know or something, and then she like hid the whole thing up. I don't know. There was
but conspiracy theories. Yeah. I feel you, but I could see it could have gone down that road. Sure.
Yeah. I could see it. And then because there's a few moments where just Pluto and Jason's interactions are kind of. Like it's definitely different than all of the other interactions.
I can see what you mean.
Pluto seems to be more aware, I feel like, than definitely Abraham.
Then and definitely the little girl who was just smiling and creepy.
Umbre, which kudos to that actress.
Yeah.
Because that shit would live in my nightmares. The first time I saw Us, I didn't really feel like it was super scary to me. But then like watching it back and like actually paying attention to everything and like really like letting it sink in. It's really fucking creepy. Yeah, just
especially their demeanor, especially whenever they're first getting introduced to her on the to Red and the couch, you know, and like
it's just, and then just the way that Red talks. Apparently Lupita stayed in character as Red the entire time. Based Red's voice. She based Red's voice on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s, and specifically the spasmodic dysphonia he suffers from. And then basically to everyone's chagrin and like not wanting, she stayed in character like the whole time whenever she was filming for Red. So she would like, people would talk to her and she'd be like, yes. What is it you want?
I can only imagine that that's such a hard spot to find, that she wants to stay in that spot.
Yeah, that's true. I could definitely see that.
You know,
she did a lot of work with other people and like vocal coaches to make sure she wouldn't like damage her vocal cords either.
I can only, because that's really harsh.
Yeah.
Especially
like
when you're throwing your voice like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And jumping back into the movie after she turns around, and then, you know, we're coming back to all this, we get some white rabbits. We get a very nice like credits and opening scene,
cool choral chanting. Beep, boop, beep, ba, boop, ba, beep.
Very much
that
like
sounded
that.
like Nightmare Before Christmas. I am a genius.
And so the credits are like a good 2 minutes, and then we open up to
I love the red text.
Oh
too,
yeah,
for us, and the way that it like goes from the red eye of the rabbit and then fades out, and then we get the us right over the bright white bunny.
Yeah.
And then with just the red text, all of it. It looked so nice in contrast against all of the rabbits.
Yeah, it
as
did.
we panned out in the classroom.
A lot of stylistic choices.
Yeah. I was talking with Mike beforehand about the rabbits. He was like, I just don't get it, which they were the food source for the tethered. But apparently there was also a lot of references to Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, which was very obviously, for those of you who don't know, I collect Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. I have probably 40 different editions ranging from the early 1900s to current times. So it's a fun thing that I love. But obviously there's kind of, you quite literally, whenever Addie's going into the underground, at the end, she goes through the door that has a white rabbit on it, and she follows, like, basically we're going down a rabbit hole. Yeah. And then the red is said that it could possibly, you know,
the Red Queen,
be the Red Queen. And then that the tethered and the mirroring itself is like Through the Looking Glass. And then the whole idea of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass is to discover yourself and find yourself. And so that's
which this movie is all about, like the self.
Yeah. And that was a really cool, I don't know if that was actually Jordan Peele's intention or not. It is one of the things listed on IMDb. Yeah. So I feel like it's maybe a little more credible. But I thought that was a really cool like idea behind it.
There could be that. And then there's like with all these movies too, and like with elevated horror, there's so many different interpretations, and there's so many different like routes that symbols can mean, and for all kinds of different people, you know. Yeah. So that's a really nice way in how it even like relates to you and what you already have of knowledge. Yeah. And so for the rabbits also, I guess it to me kind of represented like another even layer of like the people that were there and in the tunnels as well.
Yeah, like they're the test subjects.
The tethereds. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like that's even
it's always
more
rabbits and rats and stuff that are tested on.
But yet it was the people, you know. but we do have Miss Addie, and we have Gabe and the family. They're on their way to their beach house. They're on vacation, and we have Gabe screaming, "We made it," waking everybody up. Yeah, and they're there. It's very definitely vacation vibes. We have a whole scene where they're talking at the dinner table about like what they're going to be doing and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're talking to.
I liked his little dad comment when she was like, "There's not even Wi-Fi here," and he was like, "Why do you need the internet when you've got the outernet?"
Yeah, he definitely makes a few dad jokes.
Yeah, he was really a good cringy dad. He played it well.
And they end up getting, they're talking about going to the beach. And Miss Addie, obviously you can tell from the get-go there's like friction, or not friction, but
there's a clear certain, like distress that flashes across her face.
She's going through something internally.
And because he says the beach, and she's like, "Wicca what?"
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Yeah, Santa Cruz." And she was like,
which we've already seen from the beginning. Like we already know that's where something traumatic happened.
Yeah.
And we do get a flashback, right?
Yes. Yeah. And the imagery of the red strawberries there, her eating them, and then just like the color, the scene was really pretty. She was just eating strawberries, but I really liked it. It reminded me of in Ganja and Hess. You remember that one scene with the red at the table, like just so beautifully
popping
shot.
Out. Yeah.
It kind of gave me that vibe. But yes, this is where we get a flashback to young Addie playing in the sandbox while her parents are talking with the counselor, I suppose.
It's explaining to them that she is suffering from PTSD. Because her mom is like saying that she won't talk, and that she's different since she's come back from whatever's happened, and they don't know what could have happened because the dad's just like this, kind of trying to blow it over, and she's just like, we don't know what could have happened to her. Wow.
She was like, "You're supposed to be watching her, but you weren't. I went to the bathroom and she disappeared, and now she's not talking." Like anything, so many terrible things could have happened. I can only imagine what her mom's mind is rushing to.
Oh yeah. And the mom's just like,
I'm sure she never came to this conclusion.
Oh no. And I wonder if she's even lived to like see all of this through, or if she's already passed away at this point. But
I know that we know that grandfather has, but was that Gabe's father or was it her father?
I think it was more Gabe's.
Yeah
I
couldn't tell, because then the house looked like it was their family house. There was pictures of Addie with, I think, her mom and stuff. And so I'm wondering.
But we never saw pictures of a grandpa.
That's true.
Yeah.
And then they did, but then like he said, this is the first time we've come here since grandpa. So then I would think that it would be her dad, because if it was like their family house with like Addie and her mom, that it would be, I don't know, maybe the parents got divorced after that too. I don't know.
It's a lot of rabbit holes.
Yeah. Rabbit holes.
Okay.
Swiggity swag. Back it.
They just want her little girl back, but they ain't getting their little girl back. And now we're at Addie,
and they're
laying
encouraging
on the
her
couch.
to dance or draw.
That's right. Encouraging her to dance or draw, which does come back.
Yeah.
And we do have Addie laying on the couch. She's watching this little spider, and this big spider, and kind of
terrifying.
The big spider?
Well, both.
Both, yeah.
But
it was a pretty big real spider.
Yeah, the real spider was big, and I was like, why are we just looking at it? And then also we just forget about it?
Yeah, it's gone.
No.
I mean, the spider was there before they got there. Dibs.
Put it outside anyways.
Dibs.
Oh.
They eat little bugs, and they keep pests away until something eats that.
I did live with a shower spider once for a long time.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. It just was up there in the corner, and I was like,
you can't reach it, and you're just trusting them to just mind their business. You mind your business.
And we did. We respected each other's space for like a few months.
Yeah.
I think.
Wow.
Back in my old house, yeah.
Got a little cobweb up there and everything.
Yep.
That's
and it'd
cute.
just be up there, and I'd be like, yeah, please don't come down or I will literally burn this house down.
I've had to do that before. Sometimes it's less of a hassle to just let it be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to touch it. I don't like squishing or getting rid of bugs.
But you don't want them around you either.
Yes.
Gotcha. That's a lot of people's though. I get it though. Bugs aren't. Not all bugs are cute. Some bugs are cute though.
There was a spider I saw the other day that I was like, oh, and you know that emoji where it's like the. What that spider had that eyeballs.
Aww,
I was like, oh my God,
little big eye, like black
emoji.
eyeballs that are just go deep and look into
really
your soul.
Cute. I was like,
But
I didn't like the way it was
plotting to kill you.
Yeah,
they move so fast. The ones that move really fast do creep me out sometimes. And the ones that jump.
Oh, hard pass.
And they're a little furry. They're cute though.
No
Some of them are really beautiful. So yes, she's looking at the spider. She is then on the couch. She is listening to Gabe talking about how he wants to go to the beach. She doesn't want to go to the beach.
She's like, it's too crowded there.
She's like, we can just go right here behind us. And he's like, no, we're going to go to Santa Cruz. And so he's definitely, like he said, the kids, we haven't been here since grandpa. It'd be nice for them to have fun, all this stuff. And so he kind of convinces her to go. And so she ends up trying to round the kids up, but she is looking for Jason because he is hiding. Yeah. And then he goes and scares his sister, which ends up.
She's looking in the mirror.
Oh, that's right.
It's like, what a like a sister and brother thing to do.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Also, the way that Addie was acting, it felt like she was expecting an attack. Like she does say later on, she's like, I feels like they're getting closer and closer, and it is very much giving that she's like,
she was paranoid.
I feel like they're coming for me.
She definitely had that knowledge. Also, I feel like because she was aware.
Yeah.
And like the tethering of like how they think alike,
Agreed.
I think she definitely felt it. And so we do have him running into the closet and his sister. What's the sister's name?
I was going to show you the spider, but I guess that one's not available anymore. The sister's name is Zora.
Zora, duh. So Zora ends up getting him locked in the closet. So he's like, being in, and Miss Addie has to get him out.
And she's downstairs looking at a vision of her younger self doing ballet and like looking back in the mirror. And the look isn't quite ominous yet, but it does feel like very like, oh, something's a little odd here. Yeah.
It's not so innocent.
So wait, if that was her as a kid, it has to be her family.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
So I guess it must have been her dad.
Her family house.
Yeah.
And so that's whenever we do have her then going upstairs to try to figure out what's going on with the kid. She ends up getting him out of the closet, and that obviously wasn't the first time he's gotten locked in there.
But then beep beep
beep.
Daddy's got a boat.
He does have a boat
called the Crawdaddy.
And it's a dinghy.
Yes.
Because he's
a little sketchy.
Trying to show it off to them, and then it just kind of dies on him in the middle of the lake. And they're making fun of him, kind of ragging on him
like,
for
can
it.
We even all fit in it?
Yeah.
Which they could. It was a decent size. It's not like it was a canoe.
They could have fit on it.
Yeah.
But
it's not a yacht like the
like
B
their
yacht.
friends have. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they end up meeting that they're going to meet this family that we've been hearing about, his friends, at the beach. We have them talking in the car for a little bit. We have Zora bringing up the government controlling us with fluoride in the water, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Because I think that was kind of like in two ways, so many layers, like Jordan making fun of like conspiracy theory people, because it's like a conspiracy theory,
Yeah.
in itself that we've all heard. And then also on top of it, well, you think they're controlling you that way, but they have a whole tunnel of like people, clones underneath us
that are meant to control you.
Yeah. And then also just playing it on the joke of like conspiracy theories to have one in there.
Yeah.
And bringing the government into it overall. And they're trying to what happens? They're just talking.
Oh yeah, and
then
Jason's
like, kiss my
maybe
anus.
you can kiss my anus, Zora. And then they were like, why'd you have to bring
Say
the
like
word
that.
anus? Like, I would have rather, he was like, it's not a cuss word.
I would have rather
His
you
dad's
said a cuss
I
word.
would have rather you have said ass
Mhm.
because no.
Mhm.
That's creepy.
And then we start jamming.
Yep. And this song is another one of the fan theories.
Oh. What is it? Tell me.
I need
Tell
to
us.
find in this list.
Wah, wah.
I just remembered that one. Oh my goodness. There's a theory that Michael Myers is one of the tethered.
Oh, is he? Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so
that's why he acts like that up here.
Yeah.
Ah.
And so Redditor Conti _Blackwings posts that John Carpenter's Halloween and Us exist in the same universe, and that Michael Myers switched places with his tethered counterpart, much like Adelaide and Red.
No wonder.
And although 2018's Halloween is a retcon of every sequel since Myers and Strode's debut, it's still possible that Myers' childhood home had a tunnel system underneath, as it is as confirmed in Halloween Resurrection. If this is the case, the tethered Myers could have switched places with the original, explaining why he dons a mask when he claims his victims, communicates with grunts and violence, and acts as if he were born without a soul of his own.
That is spot on.
I know, right?
That would explain too much.
When I read that one, I was like, oh, I can't wait to talk about that.
That is funny. that explains everything, actually.
I know, really?
Yeah.
It does.
It does.
It's good. But this one, there's a theory that there's a fifth family member.
Oh.
So this person, a Twitter user, Scarlett Estelle, theorized the song I Got 5 on It is actually being used to reference a fifth family member who passed and who's yet to be faced. Though we only meet 4 people in the Wilson family, the song referencing 5 may mean there's a family member who passed and has a clone that Adele, you're in on this now, that Adelaide will eventually have to confront, which I thought was kind of fun. Like, if they did a sequel and it's like, but wait, there's more. And it's a fifth family member and it's come to kill you.
That's crazy.
What if it was a
but it
little
was like
baby?
the clone that survived.
Yeah.
While the counterpart that was up here died. Got it. Okay. I'm like, how would that work?
Yeah.
But I get it. Yeah. I can see that.
That'd be kind of fun.
That would be fun.
And it needs to be a baby. Running
just
around
a
with
baby.
little knives.
Bionic baby. With like half rabbit. It's like bouncing everywhere.
Ooh, yeah. Half bunny.
It's one red
half
eye.
person.
That's perfect. That is literally what it would look like.
I have a tattoo of that, y'all, on my leg.
That's what it would look like.
I was imagining bunny legs and a person top.
The evil hair.
And rather not human legs and a bunny top. But
I like that though.
I do. Yeah.
Oh, I get it. You were thinking the other way around.
Yeah, like bunny legs so they could hop really far. And then having a weird little baby head. That's my next tattoo, y'all. I'm going to ask Annie really to draw it opposite. Can you please draw me a baby with
and the red
legs?
It's so like vibrant, the shading.
Yeah, I love the pink.
It's so is that
the pinky and red.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
Her legs get more pink. And then her upper
Cute.
body is red. They're my fave colors, so we had to throw them on.
You do have a lot of pink and red on you.
I love it. Pink and red on my body, on my clothes, on my everything, on my thing.
I'm like the way I'm just like staring at your body. So we do have another flashback. And it's her back at the does she have a flashback right now?
Yes.
It's a
flashback again to childhood and then but I don't really remember much of what it was.
It was really fast.
Yeah,
because then we see the guy Jeremiah
past the Jeremiah 11:11.
Is he dead?
Holder. He is.
Yeah.
It could we could what? And then she says, "Don't look."
Don't look. And we do have her looking though, and she does notice that it is the man who had the sign from her childhood.
Same sign. He never changed it.
He never did.
Yep.
Literally.
It lasted that long.
And so that's whenever we do have them getting to the beach, and they're meeting up with do you remember the friends' names?
Kitty and Josh.
And Josh.
And then I just call the other ones the twins.
The twins, yeah, because twin 1 and twin 2.
Yeah. These twins are bitches. That's basically all my notes
bitch
say.
1 and bitch 2.
Yeah.
And so we do have them getting acquainted as or not acquainted, but catching up. There we go. The guys talking. We have the ladies talking.
I'm the pink lady drinking the wine. I didn't know her name at this point, so
Miss
I called
Kitty.
her pink lady. But
Miss Kitty, and she got some work done. She's showing Miss Addie, and she's like, "Not that you need any work, you whore." Yeah.
I was like, okay,
right.
I feel attacked.
She's definitely, Josh and Kitty definitely live on like the more lavish. I wouldn't even say lavish though, just like on people who like to spend money, just to spend money. You know what I mean? And so we do have the kids like doing their own things, and we have the twins talking to Jason, and they almost seem like they're picking on him. That's when we have them asking him what he was building. He's like digging tunnels, and that's whenever they tell the sister like, Zora, your brother's weird, and she's like, he just has problems talking to people sometimes. Or what does he say? What does she say?
Something like that. Yeah.
Oh, he is one of the tethered.
Yeah.
It's another clue. And so that's whenever the twins,
because
Jason
even
walks off.
Right before that, Addie had said like, I just have problems talking sometimes.
Oh, that's right.
She said that
to Kitty. I do. Yeah. She was like, I have problems talking.
Oh, now I'm believing it even more.
That's right. That is another moment.
Oh my.
Easter eggs.
I love it.
Other clues that we should have known that she is a tethered. And so that's whenever we do have Jason walking off. He needs to go use the restroom. And we do have Kitty talking to Addie. She's asking her even more in-depth questions. Obviously, when Addie doesn't even want to talk to her.
Yeah, she's like really giving her like one answer questions.
Yeah, and even...
Or one. Yeah.
Yeah, just being short.
Is the word.
And a little bit cold, but not in like a unwarranted cold, but just like she don't want to talk.
Yeah.
And so that's whenever we do have it's not even that. Also, Addie just doesn't even want to even be there.
Yeah. I feel like that's what she should have said. It was like, look, I don't want to be here. I don't feel comfortable here. Like,
and woman to woman, you should just know, like, when you have to follow your husband somewhere, I don't want to shit the shit with you right now.
Except for I feel like Kitty basically doesn't take no shit from Josh.
Yeah.
She
runs the show.
Whenever he was like, what do we say? When she was handing him the drink.
I hate you.
And she was like, I hate you. Does that work? And I was like, that's me.
Yeah.
That's me. I love it.
And so
thank God Andrew never pulled that shit. Because I've like,
yeah, he would never even say that.
Yeah. He would be like, here you go, sweetie. I love you so much. And I'd be like, thank you. I love you too.
Because that's what a loving and caring relationship
does. Right.
And so that's whenever we do have Miss Kitty saying that there's been lots of weird coincidences happening lately, which is also happening for Miss Addie, because then we have a frisbee almost hitting them, and then it pulls up and she's looking at this circle.
Lands right on it. It's like a mirrored. The red frisbee lands on top of them.
Yeah. And it just kind of jars her, but then that's when she actually realizes that Jason is missing.
Where's Jason?
But we also are at the simultaneously getting that Jason is like just coming out of the restroom, and he ends up seeing this person, but we only see the backside of them, and they look weird, and they're just standing with their arms like, stretched out, which we do see later who it is. But right now we're just left to like,
and you can see blood dripping
on their hands,
which is like, oh, that doesn't seem very good.
Yep. And that's whenever we're all freaking out looking for Jason everywhere, and she finally sees him, and she's just like, we are leaving. We are done with the beach.
We're out of here.
They weren't even there that long.
No, they weren't.
No, not at all. And so they're back at home, and the mom is definitely not happy.
Yeah.
She is kind of looking out the window, kind of being a little paranoid. You can tell that the dad is talking to her about what's Josh's new car and how he got it just to annoy him, and she's like, well, he did it, and all this stuff. She's not interested in what he's really talking about, because then she's looking at the mirror,
and on the
window
on the TV, the baseball game was tied 11 to 11.
Oh, was it?
Yep.
All these
which is pretty high for a baseball game.
Easter eggs. I don't know baseball games, so.
I've watched a baseball anime, so I know
that's right.
all. I'm just kidding. I don't know much. And I went to a baseball game recently, but it was like 0-3. Like, it's kind of hard to score in baseball.
That's so stupid.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's like
to anybody who
soccer.
likes
Soccer's that way too.
all sports, honestly. Sorry. I don't.
Football
I just
and
don't,
basketball. Basketball, the points get up real fast.
Yeah.
They get up real.
Because they're going.
Yeah. And they're just like,
back
it's
and
very
forth.
nice, fast game.
But they are only 2 points. And then
True.
there's the 3-pointers. And then there's the 1-pointers. And then there's the ones
But
that are
those
7.5
add up
points.
real quickly.
Yeah.
And then
JK.
not in soccer. Soccer, they
No,
don't. In
that's
baseball,
forever.
you get 4 points, right?
I don't know.
Or do you get 1 point? I don't know. Okay. I don't know sports.
I'm
Anyways,
like, who are you
the
asking
game was
to verify?
tied 11-11.
And so we do have then Miss Addie giving her good nights to the kiddos. She's telling Zora to go to bed. She's telling her to get off her phone.
Mask off.
She obviously does not get off her phone, as one teenager does. And then she's going to talk to Jason. And that's whenever they're talking about like what happened in the day earlier, right?
Yeah, yeah. And she was like, don't run off. Like, and he was like, what? I could have been taken by terrorists and perverts. And then he goes, look, Mom, the clock says 11:11.
Yeah.
And then she goes over there to the clock, and what does she find?
A little drawing
Very
of
creepy
him with that dude that he saw earlier with the blood on the hand. And she's
very
like, who is
reminiscent
this?
because
Oh,
it was
yeah.
drawn as if he was looking from another perspective.
Mhm.
And so it was the back of his head, which then like makes me wonder, like, oh, no. Like,
Your
what if the
conspiracy
tethered
mind is
version
running.
drew it, and it was like if Pluto drew it, and it was the back of Pluto was watching him watch.
But how would everyone
him.
got in there?
I don't know. He gave it to him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he already got in the house.
It's true. It could have been planted.
Yeah.
Because they are already free.
Yeah.
And so
they're about to show up.
Yeah,
so.
because Addie is telling Gabe that she wants to go. She does not want to be here. She's freaking out. That's whenever she ends up telling him about her childhood and how, this traumatic experience happened to her.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, whoa, that's a lot that you've never told me before.
Yeah, to be holding for all these years.
And we have 2 kids together.
Yeah.
One of which is in their teenage years.
So she's definitely not in a good state of mind, as he can see.
Yeah.
But he's also kind of like, but we are also on vacation, and like also not understanding the gravity of the situation. And also because like she's telling him this and she does sound crazy.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like a real thing that would happen.
Yeah.
And obviously if like she's never talked to him about it before, he doesn't exactly understand just how like serious it is to her.
Yeah.
But she's definitely freaked out. And that's whenever they are talking even more about it. She's trying to tell him that ever since they've been back here in Santa Cruz, that she's just been having all these coincidences happening. And then all of a sudden the lights go out.
Yep. And this is where there's a small flashback too, where we get the
little girl smiling.
Yes.
Turning
so
around,
that's
looking
where
at her.
we get it.
Yeah.
Is that little smile right there.
And
she says she wasn't a reflection.
Yeah.
But yes, the light goes out.
And they end up going out to try to see what's going
comes
on.
Jason.
Jason ends up scaring the bejeebies out of them.
And he says, there's a family in our driveway.
Very reminiscent of Signs.
Yeah.
There's
so
a monster
calm.
outside my window. Can I have a glass of water?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Just so like.
No comments.
Matter of fact. Here you go.
Yeah. And so they're like, there is no family in our driveway, whatever. And they're like, oh, wait, there's an actual family
is
there.
a family in our
There's kind of
driveway.
like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he says a boogeyman's family.
Yeah, that's right. But obviously the dad, Gabe being the dad, he's like, okay, I'm gonna go out there. And at the same time, Miss Addie is calling the cops because she's already freaking out.
And Gabe's like, put that down. Like, come on, it is not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And she's like, yes, it is. And then he's like low-key gaslighting her a little bit. And I'm like, bro, let her fucking call the police. It's late. And there's a random family just standing there holding hands at the end of no, absolutely not.
I feel like that's really good precaution, even if nothing were to come of it.
Yeah,
like,
I'd be calling the police
better to
too,
be safe than sorry.
because the police can probably help these people more than I can.
Yeah.
And who knows? There's so many serial killers that went around acting like they needed help and then just came in and killed the family. So
yeah,
if you knock on my door, sorry, you're not coming in
There's
unless I've been expecting you.
A lot of true crime happening out there. And so, yeah, as he's going outside to go check, that's whenever he's like, hi, can I help you? And he's trying to talk to them. He's definitely trying to play it up like, all macho and stuff. And he ends up walking back in because they're not really like interacting with him at all. And he grabs the bat.
And that's when he says, okay, now call the cops. And she was like, I did. They're 14 minutes away.
He's like, that's too long. So he ends up going out there with the bat. He's definitely at this point trying to, intimidate them, scare them off.
And she's told Zora to put her shoes on.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, Zora, put your shoes on, because she's going to tell her to run.
Yeah. And
because we got earlier that she used to run track and field.
Yeah. And so we do see that as he's talking to them, Gabe outside, the family disperses. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, nope. And so he walks back inside.
The way that Pluto, it reminded me of like Mama.
Yeah, like those
and
kids.
The little girl. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Nope.
Very creepy, very eerie, a little too fast, a little too like animalistic.
Yeah. And even
creature-like
running.
Oh yeah.
She just like zoomed so fast. She was like, yeet, got a blast.
And it's even the way that she, we'll see here in a minute, gives her like a head start.
Yeah.
And so they're all inside, but we do have the whole family that was in the driveway now all around the house. They're trying to get into the house. We do hear whistling from Miss Red.
And it's the itsy bitsy spider.
Mm-hmm, just like whenever Addie was a little girl. And we do have them at the door, but
they find the hideaway key
mm-hmm.
under the little rock.
Yeah.
At first I thought they were going to break the window, and then I was like, oh, right, the hideaway key. And then that's when, because they were like, oh my God, the key. And then Gabe says, what kind of white shit is that? Like, what kind of white shit? No.
Gotta have a backup plan, man.
No, just don't forget your fucking keys.
True.
Or call a locksmith.
I do it all the time, though. So that's why there's got to be a backup key. And so we do have they're all breaking in essentially at this point, because we have the dad trying to hold the door back, but then other dad, what's his name?
Abraham.
Yeah. Just okay.
He hits his leg with
the
bat.
Ends up hitting his leg with the bat, so he's down, and that's a pretty good swing on dad, because throughout the rest of the movie we do see he's limping. He's been limping the whole time.
It seemed like he got him pretty good.
Yeah.
Like borderline
broke something.
Yeah.
Fractured,
at
maybe
least fractured.
Hairline fracture. And so we do have them kind of all getting cornered into the living room essentially, because the rest of the family breaks in at this point. Mm-hmm. And we do have the mom walking up really creepily.
Yes, the way that she it's like she's in a so there's like performance show marching band, but then
mm-hmm.
there's the very core,
mm-hmm.
like military core marching band.
Yeah.
The ones that like doom doom doom
doom doom, and they turn on point all together and stuff. Yeah.
The way that she was walking was very reminiscent of that.
She was creepy.
She was the
way Lupita Nyong'o was, her character, like the body language, it was all there.
She sold it. Like
mm-hmm.
after watching this again, I was like, damn.
Same.
Yeah.
No crumbs.
I didn't fully appreciate it at first, and then I was like, did she win an award for this? Because she fucking needed to.
I don't think she did.
I remember she won a few awards at one point, and she wore that beautiful like blue gown to the Emmys or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
no, I don't think it was for this one.
Damn,
and so we do have then Pluto breaking in. It's scary. It's a little bit of a jump scare as well. Yeah. And we do have them all like kind of mirroring each other, and they're
Oscars is the word I meant.
Oscars,
the Academy Awards.
Which is the Oscars.
Okay, great. Yes, this dress. Oh, she looked so amazing in it. So beautiful. It's one of my favorite dresses from that Oscars.
And we do get the titular. I think the question gets asked like, "Who are they?" And Jason is like, "It's us.
It's us." And I was like, "Roll credits."
Mm-hmm. And that's the end of the movie.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us, you guys. It was fun. And so we basically have Red sitting down, and
we're getting our evil master plan.
We're getting our evil mastermind monologue, and
once upon a time,
Caitlin's gonna do the whole thing.
There was a girl, and the girl had a shadow. I'm all of a sudden British.
Mm-hmm. It did give a little British.
The girl had a shadow.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of the quote, I can't read it like
It's
that.
basically saying, all in a nutshell, that the two were connected and they were tethered together. And she's...
Girl ate.
Mm-hmm.
Her food was given to her, warm and tasty. But when the shadow was hungry, he had to eat rabbit raw and bloody. That reminds me of Gollum Schmeagol.
It does, when he's eating the fish. And we have her talking about the presents that she would get, while she would get nothing, and how the real girl would get a prince, and how the shadow would have to be tethered to the shadow of her prince. So even though she didn't even love him, she had to basically be with him because they were both together. And then she had to birth these children that were basically in shadow of Miss Addie having children.
Yeah.
And she said the first one was a monster.
Yeah,
essentially
she said
born
the girl
laughing.
had her first child, a beautiful baby girl, but the shadow, she gave birth to a little monster. Umbre was born laughing.
Yeah.
And the girl had a second child, a boy this time. Oh, and this part was like, whenever I realized the like weight that this sentence had behind it, I was like, when she said they had to cut her open and take him from her belly, but the shadow had to do it all herself. I was like, oh my God.
C-section all on your own.
Ugh.
Yeah. And
she named him Pluto.
She did.
He was born to love fire.
And she said that she hates the the not shadow girl, the real, that she hates the girl because she doesn't understand why she couldn't take her with her. And that she then understood her true meaning, and that she's being tested by God.
Yeah. And this is
and
where
she found her
I
calling.
really was like, damn, her performance is so good. Like, she's really killing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we do have Gabe then trying to like barter. He's like, what do y'all want? Like, you can take my wallet. You can have the boat. And then even Zora's like, nobody wants the boat, Dad. And Miss Lupita playing Addie the whole time is like just being like, Gabe, like, just stop.
Just fucking stop.
Yeah.
Come on.
And then Gabe's asked like, what are you people? And she's like, we are Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's whenever
Abraham starts screaming at him so creepily. He's just like, and it's like,
and they tell Miss Addie to tether herself to the table.
Yep.
So they give her these Pluto gives her these like handcuffs, and she ends up using them, which are probably the same handcuffs that
she handcuffed her to,
when she was a child. Yeah.
That we see later. Yeah.
And so we do have the dad getting taken outside by Gabe. And we do...
He takes his glasses too.
Oh, yeah. And we do have Addie telling Zora to run. So she runs off.
And then after that, Red tells Umbre to run too. And she says, little girl, run. And then she was like, makes little clicking sounds. And it was just like...
It's scary.
Creepy.
And then she tells the boys to play together.
Yep. Pluto comes for Jason. And then the way that even Umbre runs is terrifying. Just so creepy.
The things of nightmares.
Yeah, for real.
And so that's whenever we do have we are back outside, and we have the dad and Gabe and Abraham fighting, essentially.
Yeah. He pulls out his own scissors.
Oh, and then he knocks him out, right?
Yeah.
And that's whenever we do have the little boy, what's his name?
Pluto and Jason. And this is where
in the closet.
Red tells her, go play, boys. Don't burn our house down. And she's like, which is another reason as to why I think that they were saying like that he could have been switched with the tethered, like, don't burn our house down, kind of thing, and that he was switched because
something similar had already kind of happened.
Yep.
And we do have Zora running, and we have Umbre chasing after her, getting ready to chase after her outside.
And the moment she stopped running, I was like, girl, no, why are we stopping? And then you see her like go
Umbre popping out
behind, like she goes like off the road, and then you see her walking in front of her, and I was like, ooh, so scary.
And there's this whole moment where she's at the car, and she's trying to hide from Umbre. And then Umbre ends up slipping away, which she thinks she's underneath the car, but then she's not, and then she's on top of the car. Yeah. There's so much. There's so much happening within this whole scene. And then we have Umbre attacking that man.
That's where she's really killing it with being creepy as fuck. I was like, oh God, she's unsettling.
And then she starts to attack this man this is obviously his car, and he's just like, get off my fucking car.
She was like,
but it's just enough time to give an escape for Miss Zora. Yeah.
And this is where we're back with Addie, and she asks Red, she goes, what do you want? And she says, we want to take our time.
Mm-hmm.
We've been waiting for this day for so long. And she goes, I call it the untethering.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Which we then cut to Abraham and Gabe back on the lake, and Abraham has like taken off and the boat stops, and as he's trying to get it back on, we do hear that he's talking to someone, which I can only assume is Josh, because it sounds like him making those same noises.
Oh yeah, that he makes later on.
Yeah. And then we have Gabe coming to, and he's able to knock Abraham off of the boat, which then ends up Abraham's what's his name? The life preserver and the rope gets tied up around him. So which keeps him attached to the boat and alive, I guess, essentially. And even I guess he can hold his breath for a long time.
Yeah, I was like,
I don't know.
You couldn't get out of the water there.
I don't know.
I mean, if we're going with the Michael Meyer theory and that he was the untethered, they're clearly a little indestructible.
That's true.
They can take a few hits and still be okay.
And still live. And so
I mean, Josh got a whole fucking
that's true. Right
fire poker to
because
the
I
head.
guess they're not as smart. I don't know.
Your brain's the smarter you are, the faster you go down.
I feel like that's what it is. Like they're just not as more aware of like what's happening.
Yeah, there's not a
until
soul
it's too late
to be aware of.
That's true. And so we do have now. Also, though, Gabe fell into the water, so now he's like forced to have to swim back to the docks. But then, of course, that boat, as it was mentioned earlier, has like makes a heart, like takes a hangs to the left, so ends up like coming back around. But not before that. We do have the little scene of the like Pluto and Jason in the closet, and he's like showing him the fire and showing him like his scars when he lifts up his mask, which really scares Jason.
And they're mirroring one another, like holding their hands up, and Pluto's perfectly mirroring him, and
so that's and that's a really important, because that's how Jason figures out at that point like that he mirrors him.
Yeah,
which comes out later in the film.
Exactly.
And then we do have at the same time, because he ends up tricking Pluto.
Yeah, he ends up locking him in there
in the closet. Yeah, which then gives Red a reason to go have to see, like, let him out, which gives
the bunny head off. Did you say that already?
No, but she's doing that at that point, right? As after she lets him out. And then we do have what's her name getting free, Addie. Yes. There's so much going on at this moment. It's just like really so fast. It's back and forth between all of them.
Because you're all four members of the family, and all four of the tethered are in different spots.
Doing their own thing together. But at the same time, we do have Adelaide looking for Jason, and that's whenever she ends up finding him. And then they end up running to outside to meet the dad up on the boat. Yeah,
they're running, and they run for the car, and that's when they find Zora first.
Oh, yeah,
and then they're like, wait, fuck, the keys. And that's when they hear the beep beep. And they're like, oh, yay, dad's boat.
And they make it just in time. Yeah, because we do have Pluto right on their tail, and they end up making it onto the boat. And then that's when we cut to the neighbor's house.
Yep, and we get that good choral music starting again, and you see them all like gathered on the dock, and then I said, now we're with the white people.
Yeah.
So we see a power surge, and Kitty asks Josh to go look around outside, because as we heard earlier, and he was like, they've got a backup generator on their house, so the power surge, their power went out just as like the other ones cut their power. They tried to cut theirs, but the power already came back on. Yeah. And then
Kitty is
like,
obviously concerned.
Yeah.
She sees someone, so she wants him to, like, he doesn't want to get up, obviously.
He's a fucking ass. She's like, I'm in my cozy spot. And she's like, I'm scared. Please go check outside. And he's like, it's nothing. The girls ordered a pizza.
And then he's like, checking outside. He's being, he's making jokes, like, doesn't he say, like, is he OJ out there or something like that?
Oh, wait. Yeah. It's OJ. It's OJ Simpson. And
so
it's
dumb.
Like,
and so then their version of Alexa is called Ophelia.
But then I did think, because Red had the gloves on, and you remember like the big thing in the OJ trial was the glove.
Yeah. That he thought
I'm sure it wasn't that, but that was that was what my brain was like.
but we love
had
to
a glove
stretch.
on.
Yeah. And so we do have the Beach Boys coming on, and then they're like having their little moment.
Good vibrations.
And then the girls come out and they're like, what's going on? And then that's whenever we do have all the family members coming out, their counterparts, and they all get
They waste
gutted.
no time.
Yeah, just start getting
These
killed.
ones were like,
No,
nope,
we're just gonna kill him.
you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so that's whenever we do have Miss Kitty gurgling on her own blood as she's trying to call the police with
And
Melphilia.
crawl towards Josh.
But it ends up playing "Fuck the Police."
I like the way that
by
Josh pulled that
NWA.
fake dumb move too, where he like reaches his hand down and
which
then he's
is
like,
very much on brand for
it
Josh.
was. Yeah. So it was really good. And it was terrifying.
And she's
honestly.
just like, please stop. Yeah.
It was creepy.
And so.
But yeah, then we get "fuck the police" instead of calling the police.
Yeah. It's really funny. And so that's whenever we do have Addie running up to the house. It all kind of happens it just happens fast. Addie's running up to the house. She's like knocking, and then that's whenever what's his face Josh comes up, but she realizes instantly that this isn't the regular Josh.
Yep.
And so she hits him in the head with the little spoker from fire pokey thing from the fireplace, and that's whenever they end up the whole family, the White family, pull Addie into the house.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And they hear her screaming from upstairs, and so they go in.
The kids, yeah.
The kids do.
Because outside Josh is fighting Gabe.
Yeah. And Jason grabs that big ass amethyst, and little girl.
I love how
Zora's got the fire pokey.
No,
right?
she's got a club.
A club.
From
that's right. Yeah, golf club.
And I like how he looks at her too, because they're just like, I don't know. We're just gonna go.
It's gonna work. I mean, those amethysts are heavy.
Yeah.
That would do some damage.
Which it does, because they end up going upstairs, and right away we get them getting attacked by one of the twins, and Zora ends up being able to knock her over, and like she goes over the freaking, stair casing and falls all the way off. So at that point I thought she was dead, but apparently she wasn't. And she ends up getting attacked again by Miss Old Girl doing the handstand.
Yeah, which is so creepy.
Yeah,
and the way that the twin did the
close.
cartwheel at the end of the hallway too was just creepy. It was like, ugh. And then her coming in with that handstand as well.
It was really cool.
Yeah, it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, ugh, that gives it such a whole nother level of just
Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
And we do have Miss Zora really going in on that twin. Like
she does.
She kind of has to, because it sounded like she was not going down.
No. Mm-mm. And then, I mean, it feels like she was kind of letting out all of her anger and frustration on maybe also how they were treating her brother originally as well.
She also didn't like them already.
Yeah. And then so she was just like, die, bitch.
Throughout the whole night, too, I'm sure she was just like, I'm fed up with this. It's kind of like giving, like, I'm tired of these motherfucking snakes on this plane.
Motherfucking plane. That's it. I've had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
Yeah.
And then, who's your daddy now, bitch? Those are my two favorite lines from the movie.
I don't remember most of it, but
that's when he puts the snake in the microwave, and it's that one white flight attendant. The way that I know snakes on a plane, that's like by heart, permanently terrified.
All the words.
I check for toilet snakes every single time I sit down because of snakes on a plane.
Yeah.
And the guy's penis gets bit, and then the titties whenever they were having sex in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the Academy is Gym Class Heroes, and some other two bands wrote the theme song for it. So
okay, gotcha. That's cute.
It's such a good song. I'm gonna listen to it on the way home.
And
everyone go watch Snakes on a Plane.
We do have.
Is that a horror movie? Can we cover it? Kind of, actually.
Kind of. Some people's fears are snakes.
Yeah, me.
I'm
fucking terrified of snakes.
Yeah. We could cover it. We'll put it on your listener
request. That's my listener request.
And so we do have Kitty, and she's putting on lipstick in the mirror,
which was so creepy and so good.
And she is also then, kind of like someone playing with their food, essentially, kind of toying with Addie.
Yeah,
because she's about to kill her, but she's not. She's like, I'm gonna do it, but not right now. And then she ends up looking in the mirror again and like cutting her face a little bit.
And the beautiful like orchestral music that was happening behind it too made it seem like such a like princess scene.
Yeah,
scene like. Just, like it was so pretty and beautiful, and I really liked the way it was shot.
Yeah.
And whenever she went to the window and was like acting like she was crying, and the way that it was silent, which was like, oh, that's so fucking creepy when it was silent.
Yeah.
And then then it turns to laughing. It's like,
because she's essentially she's seeing Abraham, beating up Josh outside in the boat.
But I love how even untethered Kitty doesn't give two shits about Josh. She's like, doesn't. Fuck you.
And then we do have Miss Zora coming in, and just as she's about to hit her, her reflection is like spotted by Kitty counterpart, and that's whenever she ends up like catching her swing. She's altercation with her ensues on the bed, and Addie's freaking out, and then Jason comes to the rescue and knocks Kitty the fuck out.
Yeah.
If not killing her, I'm sure he killed her with that.
I'm guessing he must have.
It was such a big blow. Yeah. And it's heavy.
And it's like also like, rocky, and it's got points. Like I imagine it's like got to take a chunk out of the back of your head.
Yeah. And so we do have them kind of
like when you heat meat with that tenderizer thing.
Oh yeah,
like that.
Ooh, skull. That's bad.
Eek.
Death. And we do have them all now kind of rendezvous in the kitchen, and they're just kind of talking. They're like, they're baffled, like what the fuck is going on.
Dad's done with boats.
He's done with boats. And then we do have Jason once again asking the important question, and he says, how many of everybody's are going to be? And so they end up turning on the news, and they're seeing that there are attacks happening all around the city, and that the news doesn't know it yet, but that there are doppelgängers, and
that they look like us.
They're in red, and they are killing people, and they're violent,
and they're coming from the sewers and all sorts of places. And they're like, it seems to be some sort of protest.
Yeah.
They're holding hands and forming a line, basically. Mm-hmm. And I love how all the while watching this news thing, that second dead, quote unquote, twin.
Oh yeah.
Is just laying there in the middle.
Chilling.
She's just like, and they're just watching the TV over her.
She's just unconscious. Or she's a really good faker.
Yeah.
She's a great actress. And so they end up then having to, or no, they're like, someone says like, what is that? And then someone says it's them, which I thought was like another, throughout the movie we get the like, there's us and it's them, or now it's us and them kind of stipulated throughout the whole movie. And we do have Miss Addie freaking out because she's like, we got to go to Mexico.
Yep. We got to leave right now. We got to get as far away as humanly possible. Mm-hmm. And then that's when Gabe's like, no, we're as safe as we're ever going to be here. And she goes, oh, really? Tell that to Josh and Kitty. They're right here.
Dead.
They're right here, dead on the floor. Like, I loved that. And then he was like, well, we can just set it up like Home Alone.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, tell me you didn't just reference Home Alone. Like, come on.
Yeah. And I love how even a moment later, though, the kids are like, wait, what's Home Alone? And what's something traps?
Because they said micro machines.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And so we do have them just planning on leaving, essentially,
like,
because...
Does this mean we get their car? And the dad's
that's right. Yeah. And they end up taking the car, but they're looking for the keys. So Addie goes back in, and that's whenever she notices that
Table Twin
is not gone, and she gets attacked by her, and then a fight ensues. And that's whenever we do have her then taking out that twin, but in the way that she's doing it, and Jason walking in and kind of watching her do this, she seems to lose a bit of her cool. Yeah. It almost reverts into like a animalistic state of mind. Yeah, she does.
She's like, ugh.
Yeah. And he's kind of like put off by watching this a little bit.
Yeah.
And so she comes back to him, and then they end up escaping. They get into the vehicle, they're driving the car, and
fucking
that's whenever
Zora's like, I'm gonna drive. Yeah. Dad's hurt, you're handcuffed. And I'm like, Zora, get the fuck out of the seat. Like, because she had asked earlier about practicing driving. Yeah. And so I'm like, this girl does not know how to drive yet. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, I have the highest kill count of the family. And it's like, that doesn't mean
they
you get
really
to drive.
should have let Jason drive, though.
Could
you imagine?
He can't even reach the pedal.
No, but I mean, honestly, though, Dad's leg was fucked up, and she was handcuffed. So I mean,
I drive with my hands like that all the time. Sometimes I drive with them crossed.
But like,
oh, was it a stick shift? Make Dad pull that. Teamwork.
Yeah, that's true.
Still safer than her not knowing how to drive.
Well, she ends up not having to drive for too long because we do have Miss Anitra, not Anitra. No, I was thinking of Drag Race. Umbre. End up being at the end of the drive, and so dad's like, okay, you're gonna back this thing up, and she's like, buckle up, and she ends up putting that thing in drive and just zoom and flooring it because she wants to hit and run over Umbre. That's a really hard name for me to remember for some reason for me right now. And so that's whenever she ends
the way
up,
that she jumps on top
on top of the fucking
terrifying.
car, literally.
Oh, she's just like
an Olympian.
She's like a beautiful little nimble gazelle. Yeah. A little mountain goat.
Jumps up on top of the car. She's like, is she up there? And she ends up stabbing through the moon roof, sky roof, whatever it's called. And that's whenever they're trying to get her off. She ends up breaking a little bit. She comes to the front of it, and then she like drives real fast and ends up yeeting her off of the car.
Yep. And she gets launched, and Addie goes out to find her, and
just to make sure that she's dying or dead.
Yeah, and finds Umbre like bent and broken in the tree, and she's like laughing, and you can tell that she feels kind of sad for her.
Just a little bit.
But she was born laughing, and she died laughing.
That's the way anybody would want to go out.
And the way that she was like, ha ha, and like lunging for her too.
Yeah.
And then Addie was just like, shh.
Just die, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would have still double tapped. I would have been like,
or slit her neck or something.
Sure, that you're extra dead. But I imagine that's got to be hard to kill something that looks like your kid.
That's true.
Yeah.
And she ends up walking out. We have them now. It's daylight. It's the next day. We have them making it towards the Santa Cruz boardwalk area.
Yeah, and we're seeing lots of people dead in the streets.
We do, and we do see that their car somehow is out here
and on
it's
fire.
Set on fire. And I don't know how their car got out there and set on fire.
I guess they found the keys
and
they
must
said,
have drove it
Let's
out
drive.
there. But they're like, that's our car. And then he's like, wait a minute, my doppelganger.
Yeah,
Jason.
He's like, it's the one that looks like me.
Yeah, because I guess he can feel it. And so we do have little Pluto popping up, and he's kind of luring, wanting someone to go out there. So Addie does end up going out there. And that's whenever she's trying to get up close to him. And we do have him in there. He's looking up at Pluto is looking at Jason in the car, and they're making this eye contact. And Jason obviously knows, like, this is a trap. This is not good.
Because the way he like pulled his mask up over his face, leaned out, looked at him, and then pulled it back down. He was like, it's a trap.
Yeah, so he's like, get out of the car. And so they end up trying to get out of the car. Which we do have the camera like panning. And so we do see they did set up a trap because there's lighter fluid or something, or gas or something. And
leading right to him.
Pluto has the match and he's about to light it up. But Jason
he keeps doing his little snapping thing. And he doesn't have the match, but it's like a magic trick.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the match is there.
Yeah.
Spooky.
And then we do have Jason having the brilliant idea to back up.
Yep.
Which he knows that his twin will mirror.
And it's honestly such a fucking cool scene. It's the little boy just walks into the fire and just goes up in flames.
Yeah.
Oh,
not even
cool.
Screaming or anything.
He's just like, it's very much Michael Myers.
Yeah.
He just backs in and he's like, I'm dead now, bitches.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm out. Final act. And so as the same time that's happening, we do have little Jason getting snatched up by Red.
Yep.
Which doesn't take long for the family to notice, because they do notice he's not there and they're screaming for him, and Addie goes chasing after him.
And she follows him to the pier. She
follows
goes down,
the crumbs all the way where?
All the way back to where it began. And we see the human chain going into like the water.
Yeah.
And stuff too. So I'm like, are all those tethered people down there just dead?
I guess so. I don't know how that works, to be honest.
And they're all joined
but they're still
with
holding
the
hands.
1111 guy. Yep. And we're back at now it's got a different name, but it is that same
fun mirror house type of thing.
Find yourself.
Yeah.
Quest thing.
And she beats the fuck out of the owl.
She does. Take that fucking owl
should.
out.
And then she ends up finding a secret door,
and
which then this bunny pops out.
Leads to them.
Which leads to tunnels, which leads to an escalator that looks an awful lot like a mall escalator for some reason.
It does. And this shot, this like a lot of her going down was like in one long shot, and it was really good.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I liked it.
And then we do have her finding like more tunnel,
and it was very suspicious
into more tunnel
that she knew exactly where to go.
Oh yeah, she knew exactly how to get to where she was going.
Okay, here we go.
Because also too, who else would have known to get to go like to all those places? There was obviously more
Yeah, there were more options,
Yeah.
and she was picking all the right doors
of where to get to.
Exactly.
Because she found this secret housing area for all of the tethered people, which we do see the bunnies, and she's trying to make her way through there. We see like the classrooms and stuff in all the different rooms, and she ends up making her way into finding what's her face.
She finds Red in one of the classrooms, and this is where
she's like saying another little monologue of like, oh, how it must have been nice to grow up with the sky. And
basically the government made this was an experiment, and they figured out how to make a copy of the body but not the soul, and so we are two bodies with one soul tethered to one another. And it was used to control those up above, but the project was abandoned. And so we are just left down here
to fend for ourselves.
And then she says, but we were born special. God brought us together that night. And she says, I've never stopped thinking about you, how things could have been, how you could have taken me with you.
That's when she said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is gut wrenching.
What?
Gut wrenching. Sorry.
I thought you said Scott origin. And I was like, what?
That's gut wrenching because she's like, you could have just taken me with you, right?
Yeah, it is.
You know,
we could have been twins. All of a sudden, surprise, you've got two now.
For real. Because they end up, she ends up, explaining how, what's her face, Addie,
could
who
you imagine
was
if your kid came back
tethered with another one of her.
It's like,
creepy.
Look, I found me. Ooh.
Sister. That's what's giving. A long lost twin. That's a lot of explaining.
Yeah.
And so we do have her telling her how like she over the years was shown her real quest, vision, purpose in life because of the dancing that
at the end of
Addie
our dance,
did. Yeah.
The tethered saw I was different, and we prepared.
Because she was different. Because she wasn't a tethered at all.
Yeah,
because she was a real fucking person from upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she said, I didn't just need to kill you. I needed to make a statement that the whole world would see.
Yeah.
And she says, it's our time now. And she says, and to think, if it weren't for you, I never would have danced at all. Because she was forced to go into dance because of the therapy for her not talking. She needed to tell her story.
And so it's all of that happened. And we do have now a showdown between Red and Addie, and they end up fighting.
And the scene,
it's beautiful, like dancing, orchestrated type of scene between them. The music, everything, it's really good. All the tension, and also Addie is getting not her butt kicked, but she's just not winning.
I mean, she gets stabbed in the hand, and then she like slaps her and stuff. And then, just the way, again, that Red is moving is so creepy. Yeah. Even here. And then, like, the way that she, like, kind of prances off at one point was like...
It's very theatrical. It's very, she's giving classically trained ballerina, but also serial killer.
Yes.
And
ballerina serial
it's a real beautiful scene because we start in one classroom. We make our way all the way down a hallway into another, not classroom, but like a room that's essentially like, bedding, housing where people sleep.
Yeah.
And just when you think that Red is going to kill Addie whips it around and kills Red by stabbing her right in the middle of a chest with that pole or whatever she had. And then she ends up taking her out and finishing her up after we hear Red whistling.
Itsy bitsy spider yet again. And then she chokes her out.
With the same fucking handcuffs that she used to trap her with in the beginning of the her life.
Yeah.
And snaps her neck. Yeah.
I was like, I thought brutal. I heard a snap, but and then the way that Addie just starts like laughing at her is like very like, I mean, it gives like Sally at the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Yeah, because at this point you could also see like, you could paint it as like she's just kind of traumatized right now, and she's hysterical, and anybody would probably go a little crazy to look like that.
Oh, definitely. I would.
Which... that's not the case, because we do have her then finding finally Jason, and Jason's even freaked out about her, and even she can tell like she's like, look, it's me. It's me, it's not her. And she can tell he's definitely looking at her like, I'm scared of you now. And so we end up having the family all reunited,
meeting up at the ambulance,
and then they start to drive away. And this is at this point where it seems almost like a happy ending, but we start to get the real flashback of what actually happened, and the PTSD and like the freaking, what are they called? Not gynec, like the therapist telling them like what was wrong with her.
You about to say gynecologist?
No, guidance counselor. And so the therapist.
You're gonna say gynecologist.
Yeah, her gyno.
I was like, that's where the vagina, Josh.
I don't know those. And so that's whenever we see that whenever she did come face to face back then, that the tethered girl. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, am I going crazy?
It's red. There was a body switch. So
body switch.
You're basically confronted then throughout this whole movie, because this whole movie you were rooting for Addie, but then you figure out that Addie wasn't even, so someone who you thought was like the bad guy essentially was the victim, and someone who you thought was the victim essentially is the bad guy.
Yep.
It flips the whole movie. But then you're thinking down. Like, well, but you're also rooting for Addie because at this point, like,
she's
even though
the one who had a life,
yeah,
and a family,
exactly,
yeah,
even though she stole that life,
yeah,
it's pretty.
But then, like, I think if I put myself in that situation, I would,
right,
too,
want to be free and not live down there,
exactly.
But yeah, and then we do have. Basically, the end of the movie is it showing how the statement has worked. They are all up, I guess, from sea to shining sea. I don't know how, but they've made it happen. And
chain of red people going
all over
for
them,
miles.
Even through mountains.
Yep, helicopters overhead. The flower song that's playing is really good. All of it, really liked it. But yeah,
that's the end of Jordan Peele's.
That's the end.
2019.
Of it. I think I said basically all my favorite theories. Because then, like, some of them are the tethered or evil shadows of the Wilsons. And I'm like, well, no. Well, it was more so like the up above is the good, and that there needs to be a separate body to embody or encompass the evil. And so, like, all the good was only in them up there, and the evil was down there. But that's
good
a
people
little
make
more
evil. Like, but there's a lot of evil people upstairs.
Yeah.
Evil things happening.
And then this one was actually kind of interesting. It says God definitely exists in the us universe. And it says a truly biblical theory about us comes straight from YouTuber Jimmy Champagne. In his video about the film, he notes the reference in multiple appearances of the Bible verse Jeremiah 11:11, which reads, as I said earlier. From there, Champagne argues the Christian God definitely exists within the film's universe. As such, God has created one soul per person, but because of that constraint, the cloning experiments was bound to fail. When the clones were created, the person's soul was split between the human and their tethered counterpart, which would explain why the tethered act out similar motions to their counterparts. Furthermore, when one of the bodies is terminated, the remaining body receives memory from the other, which is interesting. Yeah. But yeah. And there's also theories that Us and Get Out exist in the same universe as well.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Which, I could definitely see. And there's also, I did like this one. The children are the only successful parts of the experiment. So it says, in the third act of the film, Red explains the history of the tether to Adelaide. She tells her they were a government experiment where people were cloned as such, blah, blah, blah. The plan didn't work because the clones lacked a soul. And this one Redditor thinks the children are the actual success stories of this experiment because they were human and tethered hybrids who were able to control their counterparts. And because both the children, Adelaide and Gabe, and Red and Abraham, were born between a tethered and human, they are the only two successful outcomes of the experiment. And they, unlike every other human tethered counterpart, can either control their doppelganger or be controlled by them due to this unique hybrid state. As explained by Adelaide, this was the intention of the experiment, but it was abandoned before the outcome was achieved. Addie meaning Red.
Yeah.
But actual Addie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that one was pretty good too, though.
Yeah.
Anyways, those were the fun fan theories that I really liked.
I didn't read any fan theories per se, but I do know that I think I read up on this, and Jordan Peele was also trying to comment on like where Get Out was a lot about like the racism.
Yes.
And the underlying tones of that and the horror story in that in itself. This is more of a story centered on like inequality and like the haves and the have-nots, and how essentially we have this group of people who are, downstairs, but the people upstairs, up in the world, are
it's like
sinfully,
systemic racism,
blissfully unaware and ignorant, but also a part of the problem because they are unaware and do not make themselves aware.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like the whole time as well, like you're rooting for Addie to win and to like overcome and like get away with her family, but then you find out at the end like she's cheated the system, but then did she really cheat the system? Because like you said, you would have done the same thing in her position.
Yeah.
So it's like everybody's a fucking victim, you know? Yeah. But if you're ready to get into the ratings, I'm ready.
I am. Yes.
I would give it a 5.
Yeah.
5.
Me too.
It's really smart.
But yes, a 5.
I thought it was really good. I thought it's a really good story. I thought it was really there are certain things that like if you think too hard about it, for me it's just kind of like, how are all these people underneath the ground? How did nobody know? How are they all coming up now? Does every single person have a clone? How did so many people get cloned?
Yeah.
How are they all? Where are
is
they
it
all?
only in the United States?
Is it just bunnies?
Which I feel like maybe it would only be in
How
the
do they have so
States.
many buddies? So many bunnies. And it must still be run by the government and somehow and not fully abandoned, because who's providing all the bunnies?
Yeah.
Who's providing the pellet feed to keep feeding the bunnies?
And raise the bunnies.
Raise the bunnies, because the bunnies have to survive somehow.
Yeah.
And
who's making sure they stay under there?
Exactly. So like somehow it's not abandoned. And then there's just, yeah. But overall, really good story. It's really smart. I really like Lupita Nyong'o's acting throughout the whole movie and film. There's a lot of one big solid twist to it, but it's like a twist that's chipping away at it throughout the whole movie until you finally get like this one sculpted thing and you're like, oh wow, that was the final product. That's really good. That
makes sense.
Yeah,
because then once you go back and rewatch it, you're like, oh,
it was there in front of you the entire time.
Yeah. And he was letting you know the whole time, but you didn't
put those pieces
see
together.
What you didn't want to,
or you don't see what you don't have when you don't have the whole puzzle pieces in front of you, if that makes sense. Yeah,
exactly.
And
other than that one, like with who is providing for the tethered down there, this film doesn't really have any other plot holes. Like everything else is really tied up rather nicely, in my opinion, and it does a great job of fleshing out all of the characters and giving you subtle things that, like even just the mention of her running track and field, it was just like in passing conversation.
Yeah.
But that came into such a huge play.
Back on.
And just, the boat, all these little things.
Little foreshadowings
all
even.
came to a head. The fire, everything.
The very beginning of the film with the America.
Yeah, the Hands Across America there. Yeah, exactly.
Because we weren't explicitly told like anything really about that.
Yeah.
It was just kind of something that was happening in her life. And then it ended up popping up later as like a really major plot point.
That this was what they were doing.
Yeah.
Exactly. I did clue into the Hands Across, like the moment I saw the thing, like before you see her shirt and stuff. And then I was like, oh, they're doing the Hands Across America thing.
And then if you notice too, Red's outfit and how all their outfits were red.
Yeah.
Her Thriller shirt, Michael Jackson.
Red.
Michael Jackson was in his red Thriller outfit.
Oh, that's right. He was in that jumpsuit the whole time. Yeah. Cute. What a look.
Yeah. And so, yeah, for that reason and for many reasons alone, I would give Get Out Us a 5. Five boos.
2. I know that I have one listener that's a friend of mine. That was how I even thought to look up some of these theories, was because of the one of Jason being switched out with the tethered.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
She was telling me about it, and she's not even like a big horror film buff, but she was just saying like how interesting it was, and she hadn't seen Get Out, so I was encouraging her to watch Get Out. And I told her that whenever we cover Us, I would like to hear her thoughts on it. However, it is Sing Week at Baylor, and so she's very busy.
Yeah.
But whenever she does give me her feedback, I know I want to be able to read that to y'all. So
we'll chime it in.
Yeah. Hopefully, because I did give her like 0 notice. I was like, oh, hey, by the way, we're recording Us.
In 30 minutes.
Yeah. It was like a day, but still like they're having to, because Sing premieres tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so she's rehearsing like 6 hours a day, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But so hopefully I'll get to read that feedback to y'all and her
Soon.
thoughts on it, because that was the first person I'd ever like spoken to who'd given me like really good, intelligent like feedback with it, and more so than just being like, yeah, I really like that movie, or something like that, and like her talking about those.
She gave you more depth.
Yeah, it really made me look into it and appreciate this film even more.
Yeah,
looking at it, because then I read the theories beforehand and was like watching it to see if I could pick up on some of the theories and like see their relevance as it was going through, and I was like, okay, yeah,
I can see where that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah.
Shout out to Grace.
Shout out
She
Grace.
did a great job with opening my eyeballs to a movie I'd seen a few times already and hadn't ever thought of it in that light. So
yeah, I think this is my second time watching it.
This was my probably third or fourth.
Definitely understood it a lot more this time going around.
Yeah.
Than before.
It is really good. It is, and it is one of those movies you really do need to watch it more than once.
And also too, I think I remember when I watched it the first time as well, a lot of stuff just went over my head.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that I even I knew that stuff was going over my head, but I was just kind of like, I'm here for just like the film.
I'm here for a good time.
Well, and the film is passing me by. It's not something where I was like, I didn't analyze it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I knew stuff was passing me by, and I was just like, okay, but I still thought like, well, that was still good. I wasn't like, oh, that sucked. So
yeah.
I never thought it was bad, but I think for some reason I thought, oh, it's like not too smart for me, but like it was just such a smart movie that like I don't have time to think about it.
Yeah.
And like I'm watching it now, I was like, that wasn't even that like high, like that was very like,
it's easy to grasp.
Plain
he spells
put.
it out for you.
Yeah, it's plain put. And especially watching it back, I was like, oh, okay, like all of that I got.
He spells it out, but you do still need to think
a
little bit. It gives you the room for interpretation to be able to think more on it if you so choose.
There's conversation that can be had.
Exactly. But then also he gives you a perfectly spelled out again, a paragraph that starts, or an essay that starts with a beautiful thesis, ends with that like conclusion that's wrapping it up, and you've got this great meat in the middle that really fleshes out the whole story. He does a great job of that.
Yeah, he gives you a movie. He gives you a 2-in-1, because he gives you a good movie that's just a good movie. It's a horror movie. If you don't want to think about it, it's still a good movie.
It's still a good movie.
But if you want to look at it for its layers, then there's a lot more for you to actually dig.
It's an onion. It's an ogre.
I was going to try to do a Shrek impersonation, but I can't.
All I know is, and what is it? And for
donkey.
breakfast, I'm making waffles.
Donkey.
Everybody love parfait.
Yeah. But yeah.
As always,
we are in the lovely Rogue Media Network studios.
That's right. They take great care of us. And
They do.
You can listen to us or all of the other amazing podcasts on their website, which is
roguemedianetwork.com.
That's right. Or you can listen to us on a slew of other podcasting platforms, the biggest two being
Spotify.
And also Apple. But wherever you do listen, don't forget to
rate, review, listen, like, subscribe, all of the above.
All of the above. That's right. Because that's the only way we can get ahead in this world. And if you would like to let us know your thoughts on us or Get Out or Nope, which is what we will be covering next.
Yes.
As a listener request from Mason.
Mason.
Yay. Mason is our editor of this show. So he is... It probably listens actually more intensely than even I do. And I listen, and do you listen to all of them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we both listen. And so Mason listens to all of them though, and he actually gives us like good feedback on all of it. So
yeah, shout out to Mason.
This is a one we're excited to do. So, but yeah, you can let us know your thoughts and your listener requests by reaching out to us on our one social media platform, which is Instagram, and that is at
BooBaes Podcast, BOOBAES BODEACAST. Because we're your BooBaes, not your BooBabes.
That's right.
I don't know why my mind went blank. Wow. And that's at BOOBAES BooBaes Podcast, because we're your BooBaes, not your BooBabes.
There we go. We can put the other one in as a blooper, or just leave it all
Leave
together.
It like that. It's fine. Let it roll. Don't take it out.
But until next time this week, we'll have our listener request of Nope coming out, and then we'll do some other films. Maybe we'll cover something from Jordan's Peele's 11 horror films that we should have a shared language of.
We'll check the list out.
Knows? Or we'll do something else entirely.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But until then, bye, baes.
Bye, baes.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.